Go ahead. Because they know two things. One, that either they're out of their backyard and Israel gets an expansive territory, and two, if the Palestinians fucked around and found out here, they'd be sent to Gitmo or some other fucking shithole or beat that in the street. So, I mean, this isn't Israel's bidding. Israel would love that.
No, you're misunderstanding. I'm not saying that Israel's just like behind this twirling their mustache. What I'm saying is that Trump has this tendency to like overextend this sort of appeasement to his donor base. And when you look at actually like the people who fundraised him in his second term, because he had like no money until a certain point when he met with certain people, you'll find out, okay, yeah, this guy's like just kind of like groveling a little bit. But doesn't be that as it may. Even when it comes to Trent Baraga, like, okay, they had to do a class action lawsuit because only a small chunk of the hundreds, if not thousands, of people that got sent over on those planes were able to.
This is chillism.
And they're already in these camps, so that makes it infinitely harder for them to represent themselves.
Right. Hold on. So when you come here under an asylum claim, which the majority of those Trump and Iowa, whatever those fucking people were claiming at the border, and you get your day in court and you get your little court papers and you walk into the country because that's what tax release is. You get your date and you fucking meander on through across the border and the sun shines on your face and the wind's at your back and you're like, ooh, I'm here. Now, those people that get that, you do realize that the Secretary of State, the executive branch, can actually decree that no, we're going to change our mind about allowing this application to go and process through. This court case was cemented in 2001. So if 2001 the Supreme Court ruled that at any point in time these applications is deemed by the U.S. Security teams, U.S. Secretary of State, Homeland Security, etc., go down your list, are determined to be non-compliant, or there is no merit to the claim, or there are other parameters on it, those claims can get pulled and you're deported. We again have been doing this since 2001. The case that was Bush had to go to the Supreme Court for. So if we've been doing this all along, and so has Obama, so has Biden to an extent, has not as much as Obama, but he did deport people that were like from like Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan and all these other Spanish countries. He took those and deported them or detained them or sent them to Gitmo, and your outcry wasn't for due process rights. He went through. Oh, Jesus Christ!
I'll tell you the difference. Because in this recent case, this most recent case that took place on the 15th, right? That has specifically to do with the fact that they're designating these people that they're deporting as members of a terrorist gang, and they haven't substantiated it. Nor did they detain most of these people that were on those flights long enough for them to be able to do anything to represent themselves, even get any sort of legal representation. They just trapped them in the middle of the night, took them to the fucking nearest airplane, and sent them out of the country. A lot of these people weren't even able.
They don't have to process rights. They don't have to. If they determine, so it's a matter of hard to be honest with you.
That's their whole basis. Well, okay, why did they say that?
Or you're claiming refugee status, and you step the toe on the United States, you file your claim, which was through a fucking app, and you just went through and said, hey, I'm here, I'm gay. We'll just use it. You're gay. And you said, I'm being oppressed in my country. Well, okay, what country you're from? Fill out the paperwork here. Here's your court date 3 years from now. Go ahead, your case is going to be pending. Go speak to an officer, they'll gather your information, and then they're going to investigate your claim. If that officer declares that the claim is meritless because as soon as you came over, he watched you pointing a girl behind the bushes, then he's going to say, hey, I'm going to rescind it. You don't necessarily get to have your due process rights. You don't get to go to the courts because your application is under false merit. And so the administration and the powers that be have decreed that they don't have to tie up the courts in this. The Supreme Court has ruled that this is accurate. This is the letter of the law. And so they can hold that claim and deport you.
Why did they invoke the Alien Enemies Act? Why did the Trump administration have to invoke the Alien Enemies Act from 1789 in order to do this in the first place? Why did they have to invoke that if it's that simple?
The Alien Enemies Act? Because
that's the act that
he's done it for multiple groups. So I mean, I have no idea.
All they have have to do is just say, hey, you're no longer asylums. But that's not what they invoked in order to justify. They invoked the Alien Enemies Act specifically because in order to justify that quick removal of these individuals beyond their due process, they had to designate these people as part of a hostile foreign enemy. And mind you, okay, so take that in its on its face value, right? What evidence was there that was provided to the court to say, hey, these people are hostile foreign enemies? They didn't have substantial evidence, which is why that judge blocked that order, because a lot of these people were being sent over so quickly that they didn't even get the chance to even tell you what the first name was damn near. Like you know, and the 5 people who did were able to file under a class action because of that. That's my whole point. They don't have enough proof. They just have simple what was basically narrative. They're running off of narrative for this. My fear is not conservatives are going to keep doing that for all of Trump's presidency. That's not my concern. I personally don't necessarily have like a strong dog in the fight with the whole Chandaranga thing. The reason why I bring it up is because you have seen that type of shit used against conservatives literally in the Biden administration. Now, when the Democrats get back in, they are going to ramp up that same type of shit times 30, and conservatives are going to do what they always do, which is they're going to spend fucking their entire lives bootlicking the same law enforcement until those same jackboots are on the back of their fucking necks. That's what conservatives do. They fucking bootlick, jackbooted fucking thugs, and they enable Democrats to further oppress them and their children. That's what they do. That's what conservatives do.
In your opinion, Dr. Enoch, how much longer is this going to go on? You're delusional, Dr. Enoch. Go look in the mirror, read a book, go to the gym, clear your head. What you're saying is delusional.
Okay. I mean, look. I want you to have the right to free speech, and you're just throwing it away. You're part of your right to demonstration.
But again, if you're so you keep conflating multiple things all at once. So if it's about free speech, fine, good. If you're all about that, then please tell me, where was this voice 4 years ago? Where was this voice going on?
Oh, trust me, I was here, man. Look, I sound like a leftist. I'm not a leftist.
When we watched the Biden, Lauren Turner, the IRS girl, going after conservative groups through the IRS, weaponizing it under Obama.
I'm with you. Yes.
So it was like this idea that somehow when Democrats get into power, they're going to come and do it, and we're going to live the no. Like we've already gone through that shit. Like you realize
expansions of Bush. The Bush era was literally it set the template for the vast majority of the overreach that we saw under Biden and Obama. The Bush era was the template for that under the guise of the war on terror.
Here's the crazy part.
Right, I can't argue that. You're right. Was it Ron Paul?
No, it was Jackson.
No, not Ron Paul. I'm sorry, not Ron Paul.
It was Louise. It was a woman. She said, no, we shouldn't do this. And it was a Democrat. I give her credit for that because at least she did something. I don't know if she remembers doing it. I don't know if she has Alzheimer's or dementia. But for a moment of clarity, she said, whoa, this is going to be weaponized. One of the worst policies, the Patriot Act. Exactly. A lot of these policies were set there in stone when Congress went running to the table to wave their hand and put their X on the dotted line to sign up for these votes, these policies. That's why I keep going back. Your bitch is not with Trump. Most of you guys that are on the left or want this or you're central or whatever you identify yourselves with, when you're coming at conservatives, you are not coming at us. You're not coming at Trump. You're pissed off that your own group didn't acquiesce and say, hey, I'm going to do what's right for Americans. Because, look at the latest wrong with the spending bill, the omnibus bill. Everybody else was virtue signaling. I'll take all your prominent names. Nancy Pelosi out there freaking screaming about how horrible this bill is. But whose ass did they leave to hang out the truck? It was Chuck Schumer. And Chuck Schumer said, oh, fuck no, I'm not taking the fall for this. We already went through a government shutdown, and I already took heat for that for the last time. And you guys left behind Trump. And now I'm going to just sign on to this. You motherfuckers won't fucking come up and give a plan. You have no orchestration, and there is no leadership to unify, and you don't oppose anything else. So this was like
your thoughts on the omnibus, like
it's a shit bill.
Just in general though, like aren't they all shit? Aren't they like isn't that sort of like a mutant bastard sort of like fucking chimera monster leftover from like the Clinton admin? Didn't that sort of wasn't there some sort of like a thing that happened during the Clinton admin that kind of like gave way to the reason why we like legislate so much through omnibus bills? I don't know if I'm mixing that up, but I remember that I could have sworn like that's kind of like where it started. Because I mean, be honest, mate. My whole point there.
Wait, hold on, Dr. Enoch. You just brushed over what he just said. I mean, you just completely brushed over what he said, and now you're going into omnibus territory. Yeah, you are. You accept no personal responsibility. Democrats accept no personal responsibility. You're just here to complain. This isn't a complaint hotline.
I told you that I agree. I agree that Congress is like treasonous, basically. I mean, I wanted the government to shut down, to be honest with you, because that's kind of also what I think Trump would have like wanted to. And I'm not necessarily against the government shutdown. I'm pro Doge. I'm big on Doge. I might be in Doge and you might not even know it. I'm that big on Doge. I feel like if they're serious, I might be. Look, if they're serious, if Doge was that serious, they would probably, well, then again, they have a lot of judges getting in the way. I don't know, man. Like that's. What I'm telling you is I agree with you, man. Well, the thing is, though, if they were serious, they would kind of start going after entitlements like a lot more. To be honest with you.
That's another gaslight.
No. I genuinely think that if Doge is serious about cutting the deficit, they have to go after entitlements.
Why don't they go after Why don't they go after the fraud, the waste, the abuse, the scams? Are you even looking at Doge on X and seeing the line items for the international societal reengineering programs and trans LGBTQ? Every program is international.
Yeah.
What the money that they're sending overseas, and if you actually look at the descriptions of the contracts or the purchase requests, they are so liberal and fucking deranged. It's, as a taxpayer, we should have a revolution now based on what we're seeing.
I agree, but that amounts to what? Like, if you add up everything that they've seen so far, what does that get you? Like 50 billion? 100 billion? We are at like...
It gets pitchforks and swords and guns because this government and these faggot liberal Democrats who are running this shit show, they should have been out 20 fucking years ago. They should never have even existed to begin with.
I agree. You're not wrong, right? The thing is, though, right? They also do create sometimes, not through these programs, but sometimes they actually create enough of a firewall from conservatives becoming the new Democrats. Because if you fucking like conservatives do it, bro, they will become everything that they say that they despise from the other party.
Listen, George Bush.
Time again.
Hold on, what is like teaching about gays providing like a sustainable economic? Like, what the fuck is this? No, it ain't, bro. It's they're taking resources, right, and actually add to our debt.
You're right, but
and it's not coming back to us. We're not recouping. Enoch, we're not recouping none of that. Where is the recoup? Where does that ebb and flow back into our society at that point, right? Because when you use taxpayer dollars for something, it has to be a means to be productive to our society because it's our work that pays for the shit.
Devil's advocate, right? And this what I'm going to talk about probably accounts for maybe 20% of that spending that's been pointed out so far. Some of these programs, so you got to remember why that exists. USAID, right? A lot of people say that that's from Congress, the power of the purses of Congress. So Congress approved of the ability for something like USAID to exist, but it was actually created through a Kennedy executive order. There's a specific executive order that was created for the creation of what we know as USAID. Therefore, if you want to get rid of USAID, executive branch. I'm with you, like whoever I think it was I think it was Brad who was saying earlier. Brad, I'm with you when it comes to the fact that there are privileges that the executive has that judges are jumping in front of for fucking leftist agendas, right? Now, of the spending that USA has been doing, which mind you got like hijacked and then some after Kennedy got killed. Some of these programs are basically fulfilling the role that they were meant to, which is for foreign control. It's for implementing these programs in foreign countries for social engineering and by proxy keeping them on a leash. That is, like, y'all gotta admit that that's true. When you see some of these programs saying, hey, we're going for social reform.
Dr. Enoch, enough of your bullshit. Go to x.com/Doge and look at the descriptions of what taxpayer money has been funding, and your head will fucking explode.
So when the U.S., okay, so this is going to be like a sinister dark truth about the U.S. government, right? When you see feminist dance therapy in fucking Tehran or motherfucking in Botswana, right? When you see programs like that get like hundreds of millions of dollars allocated to it, am I saying that there is no sort of like racketing? No, I'm not saying that. I'm sure there probably most likely is money being laundered. However, do these programs exist, and are there these woke movements that are going on in these foreign countries? Yeah, there are. And are they destabilizing a lot of these foreign countries? Yes, they are. And does the United States have a national interest in destabilizing some of these foreign countries by promoting?
No, Dr. Enoch. Taxpayers don't go to work 5 days a week, 40 hours a week to pay for transgender sex reassignment surgery in Guatemala. Sorry, that's not the way America's set up for. It's not for destabilizing these countries. Taxpayers don't work to do this. This requires drastic measures to stop this shit. And people like you are just apologists, and you never shut the fuck up and listen to people who know what the fuck they're talking about, because you, sir, sound like an F-word, N-word!
When you cut these programs,
I gotta stick to that one. You saying like it's destabilizing these certain regions that we really like. These is literally like shithole countries that could not affect us at all.
Like, why are you saying they have shitloads of oil? They have shitloads of oil. They have shitloads of natural resources that we can use. They have pathways.
The memory of the people will be America fucks with us. That's what they're gonna remember.
Okay. Yes and no. Yes and no. Because has there been a liberal economic world order over the 20th century?
You didn't even hear the question.
My bad. Go ahead.
You have a lot.
Has there been a liberal economic world order in the 20th century? The answer is yes. Every fucking country in the world damn near has gotten more liberal than it was 50 years ago to 100 years ago.
A liberal economic progressive agenda is destroying the future of countless generations. This type of propaganda should be moderated, Dr. Nathan. How long are you going to let Dr. Enoch continue with his PhD in bullshit?
Here's why that's relevant. Here's why that's critical. Because if you can weaken the fabric of some of these countries, you can use them and exploit them. That is how our military-industrial complex works. That's a fact. There's a reason why you'll see countries that will literally airdrop fucking pornography into the televisions.
That is not a fact, Dr. F-word, Dr. N-word. Dr. Milley, the famous 5-star general under Biden, is not interested in regime-changing countries through transgender reassignment surgeries using taxpayer dollars. It's not a fact, you fucking idiot.
What happens is you are able to wrangle control of these regions for the express purposes of your manipulation and control. The military-industrial context operates under that manner with USA. Complex operates under that manner.
What is your point? One sentence.
So here's my point.
One sentence.
If Doge is serious, their first priority is to cut entitlements.
Period. If Doge is serious, their first priority is to cut entitlements. So you mean cutting Social Security and stuff like that?
No, Medicare, Medicaid is also an entitlement, which is $1 trillion. But what about cutting the military-industrial complex, which is $1 trillion?
Aren't they?
Are they?
No.
I don't know.
You can't, so it doesn't work that way. So all you can actually do through Doge is just find where, identify where, felonious payments are being made or people that are collecting off of it. All you can do is actually claw back money that is waste, fraud, and abuse to a small extent under those entitlement programs. In congressional action in order to actually reform,
So
reshape, or even cut it further, you would have to have Congress to do it. And again, that's why.
Would you?
Yes. Because
So cutting entitlements would be great, but we need congressional approval. So in the meantime, the things that Doge is focusing on are still productive, like the Wizard of Knowledge was saying. Is that basically true, Brad?
Wait, say that again?
It would be nice if we could cut entitlements, but we need congressional approval to do that, as you said. So in the meantime, it's good that Doge is making the cuts that it is making, as John Kidover, the Wizard of Knowledge, previously stated.
Correct. And all they're doing is identifying areas where there's mostly waste or fraud and some abuse. Well, there's a lot of abuse, I should say. They're just finding errors and inconsistencies. In order to cut entitlements, that's a whole other discussion, and that would not be under the purview of Doge. That would have to take care of.
Well, Trump also demoted, sort of kind of demoted Doge because they were initially, or maybe I should rather phrase it like this. He reasserted their advisory role and stated that basically that they are more so meant to take that approach. But the thing, because they were trying last time, because I had checked before, they were trying to get access to federal payment systems, which would have circumvented and shortcut. And I don't know if the judge blocked it. That's a worthy court battle of saying, hey, can we get access to these federal payment systems? Because if you can get, again, who does Elon, I don't remember who exactly it is that Elon advises within Doge, but if that individual can change that allocation of funding based off of Elon's proposed cuts, then that'd be great. To your point, right, I get that Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, that would probably need a different process. I would be interested in seeing what Trump can find to shoehorn an agenda like that. Listen, here's my overall goal. What is Elon's goal that he's stating? He's stating that he's going to cut the deficit or balance the budget. That Doge's job is to balance the budget. You are not seeing, and as the raw numbers are showing you that they're not there.
No one ever said Doge is going to balance the budget, sir. Elon Musk never said that. That's a fact.
Are you serious? You didn't hear Elon Musk say that.
Enoch, go to X.com and go to Doge. If the moderators will let me, I will read to you the descriptions of hundreds of billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse that taxpayer money is being sent overseas to international governments where it will probably even be looted instead of doing the transgender and therapeutic dance revival sessions for the citizens of these third world countries. Enoch, your point is mute. You are a low IQ moron who talks about nothing and wastes everybody's time. That's what you are, Dr. Enoch. A fucking moron who won't shut the fuck up.
Doge wants to cut $1 trillion. Will they be successful in cutting $1 trillion based on the USAID cuts? Yes or no?
Balance the budget. They don't have no other government entity under the executive. No other, it's not the National Park System. It's no other entity in the United States government can balance the budget except one. You want to take a guess what that one is? That one entity that is supposed to do it. It's literally in their fucking job description. It's the number one item. It's Congress. They have the power. No other area has any type of control. All Doge is doing is to mainline the financial systems within the government. Call back waste, fraud, and abuse, as Wizard and so elegantly pointed out, and then, stop programs that are just like freaking Ponzi schemes or slush funds or whatever it is. Identify that, present that to the they're like, and they go for their budget again next year. They don't get any. They don't get an increase. So they blow through absolutely every cent that taxpayers have for stupid shit, for bullshit, for crap. So if we change that culture, change that perspective, then maybe we don't have this kind of fucking bullshit. If we don't have fake contracts and bullshit contracts that never get met or overpriced contracts, I'm with you on that. But you're never going to get the Democrats to do it. I mean, fuck, they've been bragging about a light-speed rail in California for fucking billions of dollars, and they haven't even built shit. And it's been fucking federal and state funds on the taxpayers that hasn't gone anywhere.
Into the volcano.
Yes.
Yeah, but how much money? Like, okay, how much money? So Elon says that he wants to cut $1 trillion. That's on the record, right? By this September, by this October, the end of the fiscal year, is that possible?
When it comes to funding, absolutely.
Yeah,
he probably could.
Okay, so how would those be able to do that based off of what they're finding and based off of their like what how do I put it? What levers of access to spending does Doge have the ability to, of course, by proxy, I'm not saying directly, but by proxy, cut without congressional?
Dr. Enoch, obviously it's not going to be enough because your primary thesis is that we have to target entitlements. But look at my PTR. It's a screenshot from Doge.com on X. You may not be looking at it, but $237 million was just saved for American taxpayers, and that money was going to be laundered and funneled out overseas to some bullshit government so it could be stolen. Enoch, we got to shut the whole fucking thing down. Every single contract, the whole system, it's all fraudulent.
That is $1 trillion. And so how does that make $200 million is not even a scratch?
Spending is, do you know the amount that's allocated? Yes, discretionary spending is about $2.8 trillion.
Yep.
So
You do know what's increased. You black
But they cut taxes.
We're talking about how we're actually going to cut back all of this spending and shit. But yet we increase the discretionary spending. We also increase DOD spending as well. This is the exact same budget.
You're a little late to the party. We already covered that, Jay.
You also printed money and increased tariffs. So what happens? The money supply increased. The rest of the world hasn't noticed yet, but America wins because inflation causes chaos everywhere except in America. Okay, so expect that America is going to be able to pay off this debt sooner rather than later because of what Trump is doing. Because he's increasing the amount of tax that's just going to be at play in the United States.
So, like, this discretionary spending, when Elon does it, you gotta, I don't know. I really don't know if he can do it. Maybe he can. Maybe it'll occur. Maybe he can highlight it. We can look at it and say, you know what? This saved us $1 trillion. One guy did it. You know what? If he does it, you know what? Thank you, Elon. I mean, you've been more patriotic than fucking the entire congressional branch. Thank you so much. But even if he gets close to it, I'll take that because at least right now, he's the only one. Trump and Elon are the only one cutting something. They're cutting something. So, like, Jay, I'm with you. We talked about that. The DOD, I'm not happy with the DOD increase. I know exactly how much they blew through on fucking failed projects and how many contracts they paid out under them that brought nothing back to the U.S. arsenal. So I'm kind of confused as to why we needed to increase that when they had a huge reserve and they fucking blew it on stupid shit. So when we look at all of this spending, it's going to be, it's bullshit. And so we need Congress to sit down there and accurately do their job. We're not entitled to see what the CIA budget's necessarily going for and how they're doing their shit around the world. We don't even get privy to the majority of the DOD shit on the financial side for all of their crime. We really don't get to dive into a lot of those programs because guess what? They're listed as secret, classified, and I don't have a signal on. So at the end of the day, I can't fucking account for all of this shit. But what I can tell you is that if we can claw at $1 trillion out of the executive and the discretionary, I'll take it. I'll take that drop in the bucket.
That's the thing. I don't even think they're a tenth of the way there. Not even a tenth of the way there. No, that's my problem.
Again, Dr. Enoch, this is not a complaint hotline. We don't know how to make it go faster, but we also know coming here to complain daily about Elon and Donald Trump is not going to fix anything.
I'm on their side. I just look. Here's the thing. I just told you how, though. And I think Elon is being, not Elon, Trump, and really the Republicans, there's no adult in the room is what I'm trying to say. There's no adult. Elon's the closest thing, but the problem is even nobody's willing to say, hey, okay, we're gonna have to cut entitlements. That's gonna be the only way. That's like we're over $1 trillion.
Nature is cutting defense spending.
Well, first of all, like you just had it explained to you why that's probably the last place you want to look when it comes to cutting spending. You just had Brad explain that to you, and especially given the international, given like the form of
Respectfully, I don't know if you've been paying attention to America in general lately, but we're talking about the things that he's talking about cutting. These social programs actually benefit the American people. A lot of people, especially down south, have been told their programs are being cut, and the HUD homelessness point in time has increased 27%, the highest increase they have ever seen in a single point in time.
That's for the American people to sack up and do.
Wait. So that narrative, Jay, I've actually, this one's a really good stretch. This started from like the fucking, I finally isolated it. It came from like a Colbert fucking spin, and then media took it. That increase isn't actually correlated. So that increase in homelessness has been on a steady rise, particularly in a lot of pockets like Oregon, New York, fucking California. Go through your list. Texas, Florida. So a lot of these places and Carolina, storm damages, fires. This increase has occurred because of a lot of shit that has been going on, and the numbers have been cherry picked and not gone through correctly and reviewed. And so when we actually are looking at these numbers and saying homelessness, well, we can see the steady pace on which that curve has been happening, and that has been happening for a long time.
We're talking about from HUD.
I'm should be fucking ended. I wish HUD would be fucking done. I don't want HUD. I'm a conservative. I do not want HUD. I think HUD is a waste of money.
BLT is.
Agreed.
No, but seriously, before we even have this conversation.
I can't even hear you, dude. You're saying HUD?
POT. Do you know what that is?
Not off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Brad, do me a favor. Go look that up and then come back and we'll have a conversation. Not what's happening right now.
I just looked up HUD POT and I didn't find anything. What are you referring to?
You can't find their most recent release.
Are you saying POT is in put others together?
Oh, God damn. All right, I'll be parking soon, and I will do some research for you. I'll be parking soon. I'll do your research for you.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, I can't find anything. I don't see any HUD pod.
The first thing I got was related to marijuana.
Yeah, and then I looked at the point of transaction for HUD, but I mean, I don't think that's what he's referring to. So I don't know what he's talking about. I don't have an answer for it.
I think he doesn't want the social services to be cut. I think he thinks that everybody's gonna die if that happens, and I mean, fuck.
So I do just want to say, after I am driving, I'll be parking soon. Just that in this room, people don't know what UNPOT is. It just kind of shows that you don't know anything about social programs whatsoever, specifically homelessness in the United States of America. But it's just a bag of talking point about cutting social programs, when in reality, y'all don't know anything about it, and you don't know how it actually benefits millions of
Yeah, it's called communism, socialism, wealth redistributionism. Taxpayers are sick of our dollars going overseas and to internal scams that are un-American.
I've not heard of IPOT. Every time I Google it, every time I look it up on the government website, it's not fucking there. So what are you talking about? Because all I get is HUD poker, I get HUD pot, marijuana, and I get point of transaction. So which one of the three would you like me to investigate?
Jay, sorry, nobody can hear you. You're in the matrix. We all know what housing urban development is and wealth redistribution. Taxpayers are sick of wealth redistribution. This is not socialism or communism. This is republicanism. Welcome to the republic.
It's cool, Tommy. It's cool. Come on, Jay. I'm trying to offer a solution, yo. I know you want to.
What does POT stand for? What does it stand for? What is POT? What is it? What is it? He says it's POT.
I'm telling you.
You're not listening. You're not listening.
Okay, so we're gonna give the mic for Chaos to reset because I don't know what's going on or who's interrupting who.
You know, they're all interrupting Jay, Tali.
You're not listening.
They're all interrupting Jay.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, let's go with the first step, right? Let's talk about DOT spending. And so the DOT spending, yeah, exactly right. So the DOT spending and how like you can cut back on costs, and the discussion went to my federal fund, it's entitlements. It's covered entitlements, and then one of the entitlements that they were talking about was Social Security, and then eventually transitioned to homelessness. Jay brought in the topic of like homelessness being rising in America, and Brad was debating how factually correct it is, what metrics they were using. In that response, I think Jay brought up HUD PIT. He initially said POT. I think that was a mistake. It's PIT, point in time.
It wasn't a mistake. PIT and POT are two different things under.
What is POT?
Shut the fuck up. Let me actually, I'm gonna fuck myself in my car. Bro, they got the tampon stuff so far up their
Alright, so we're gonna let Jay land with whatever point he was making prior to me entering the room, and then we'll go to.
Okay, this is called low IQ down, wasting time, how to be productive. Okay.